Never get anybody, can't everybody get anybody to do that one either sometimes, but it's just so long. I'm glad you guys did it. Actually, tonight's supposed. I need to message JT. Actually, it's supposed to be a cleanup night tonight, right? Cleanup on from Friday nights. What did we do Friday night? What did we do Friday night? Oh, we tried Terra from Beyond. Did not get through it. Find out, are we doing that tonight? You gonna be there, Arjar? I like the dog paw or doog paw, however you want to say it. Yeah, man, we're gonna. Will is out for a second, but we'll be right back. Getting ready for episode 99, if you can believe that madness. 99. Dude, I had some terrible issues on the other night keeping the feed up. On Friday night. I don't know. Kid Lee, did you stream? Did you stream on Friday night? Or did anybody stream Friday night? I could not keep it up. Maybe I thought it must have been just me and the hell that is Comcast, but it was pretty damn brutal. I had just as many dropped frames as I did. Almost as many dropped frames as I had frames going out. It was nuts. Absolutely nuts. Will's coming back in the room, and I already flipped him off once, so we're good. Oh, well, there. That's for you, bro.
What's up, Arjar? What's up, Kid Lee?
Hey, guys. Hey, so I don't know. Like I said, I could not figure it out. So I've got I deleted some of them, but I've got I don't know, 10 2-minute clips from Friday night as I was attempting to stream. It was a very frustrating evening. Still have no idea why that happened. I think it must have been on Comcast side or something. That's what most people seem to believe. Anywho, yeah, I just messaged JT to see if we were doing cleanup night tonight at 6-ish. So we'll blow through this just in case. All right, man. Ready for episode 99?
Of course.
Are you, though? I feel like you're not.
How about you blow me?
Well, that's not what people tune in for.
You don't know.
You're welcome there, patrons. Okay, that's a blooper. It's a disgusting blooper. All right, let's get to this, man. Screw it. Let's just jump in. Turn that down when after this. It's been up the whole time.
Blast came from the Death Star. That thing's operational.
Dr. Ben, now might be a really good time for you to get angry.
That's my secret, Cat. I'm always angry.
Hello and welcome to episode 99 of The Usual Podcast. Podcast where we discuss Star Wars The Old Republic, the Star Wars franchise, and geek and pop culture. I'm your host, Marshall, and with me back this week, my friend, Will. How you doing, buddy?
90 effing 9.
I know, right?
99.
99. And we're sitting here enjoying our usual frosty beverages. What you drinking? You are drinking. We're in the afternoon time.
We're in the afternoon time, and I'm drinking a nice, large, cool Stella Artois.
Yeah. And I went back to my old staple, man. I ran to the Safeway right before this, and I was like, I'm going to get something. And I'm like, well, everything was on, a couple of things I like were on sale, but I haven't had Hop Stupid in a while. So I grabbed Hop Stupid. That's from Lagunitas. And I'm excited.
Yeah,
so
you're hop stupid.
Agreed. Hey, man, real quick, let's before we get actually started, should we inform folks what's been going on?
Yeah, absolutely.
Just real life is a thing. believe it or not.
Real life is a thing. First of all, I'd like to thank John Skeen for taking my place last week.
Indeed. And it was one of those things where I felt like if we didn't do that night, it wasn't going to happen. I didn't want to miss a week. And so I pulled John Skeen from the bench like a good, like.
You called in the reliever?
Yeah. So Skeen's awesome. We're going to have him on in another couple episodes here. And he's been on the show before. He's a really awesome guy, and I think he did a great job. So check that out. That was episode 98.
Yep.
And also, we are recording randomly on Memorial Day Monday. And that is because, and I have been kind of skirting around this last couple weeks, but the bottom line is I actually got a second job, strangely. And basically it was just to kind of help out in the summer and that kind of thing, but it's at one of my favorite pizza pubs I've been going to for over 10 years now, and I've known all those people there for a long time, and I did that, and so this last Thursday I got called in for a shift, so I did it, which is why we didn't record. But
for me, the week before, I just had it was a rough week with lots of stuff. Track is finally done, though, so
Yes.
I have more free time now, and we'll get some stuff done.
yeah, man. So real life is a thing, but we will try to be as consistent as possible because that's kind of what this whole thing's about. Especially when we're looking at 99, almost 100 episodes, right?
Well, really, like 130.
Look, I mean, here's the thing. If you look on iTunes, we're like at 120 something, but or maybe almost 130 actually. But anyway, here we are. And so before we get started, if you have comments or questions, you can find us at theusualpodcast.com. Email us at theusualpodcast@gmail.com. And we're on Facebook, Google+, Pinterest, Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube. I am at Darth Pops on Twitter. Will is at IMO Griggs. We're on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and Google Play. Please give us the, ratings and stuff that no one ever does, but that's okay. And like us and share us whenever you see us. Is that rude? I mean, no one ever does, so.
No, yeah, it's kind of funny. I've started listening to a few different podcasts this week, and one of them is it's a political podcast, so I won't get into it. But they were talking about how the week that they released was the same week that the new Serial one came out.
Oh, yeah.
And they were all pissed because they debuted at number 2 for all their episodes, and I'm like, dude, you debuted at number 2.
Yeah.
Bite it.
We're debuting at Not on the Radar.
Yeah, I know, right? We're not even in the related to.
No, dude, we've done over 100 episodes and nothing, but that's okay. I'm okay with it. I love what we do. And to answer Kid Lee's question in chat, what are we doing for episode 100? I haven't got a chance to talk to you about this yet, and I feel like we're gonna record episode 100 in 3 days.
Yeah, during finals week. Oh no, the week before.
No. Yeah, so this is in a few days from now. So I don't know. I guess nothing. We kind of celebrated 100.
We did celebrate 100 at like 76, but
and that was confusing. People didn't understand how our numbers worked. And the bottom line was that was our 100th episode, but we've done special episodes, spin-off shows, and stuff like
Right.
that. But this is episode 100 of the usual, so I don't know. Probably nothing.
probably nothing. But
Yeah, it is what it is.
yeah.
I'm not going to be mad at people.
No, I ain't mad at you, bro.
I'm mad at you, but that's fine.
I freaking hate you.
So as always, we have the timestamps in the show notes. If you're not a SWTOR fan, we don't have a ton of SWTOR this week. And in fact, I'm going to try to get through it as quickly as possible this week, only because we have a ton of Star Wars news. As you can see, if you're in the chat, it's the 40th anniversary, of course, of Star Wars. And we've got a ton of pop culture stuff that some of it I held on to from when Will was back. So here we are, man. So let's get going. Thank you to everybody in the chat room. We'll keep an eye on your words as much as possible. But let's get to Star Wars: The Old Republic.
You want to fight? I'm ready.
You do not have to stand against me. Instead, I will share all of this with you if you will only kneel.
Well, and speaking of the chat, apparently Steve showed up at some point. So welcome, dude. And yeah, you missed the trailers, bro. So whatever.
Yeah, bro.
And Arjar, yeah, we are drinking. Wait, I have honestly, dude. This is gonna be a sad thing to admit, but I have never done a podcast and not had a beverage in my hand, ever.
That might be something you might want to delve into.
Well, look, bro, it's gonna be okay.
Well, it's always going to be okay.
Indeed. All right, man. So let's start with the communities. Speaking of being on other people's podcasts, segue. You like that? Corellian Run Radio, episode 185, The War for Iocast Spoilers. Jesse and myself were on that show, and that is a link in the show notes. We have a link in the show notes for that. Oh man, it was so much fun. We're talking about IOCast, talking smack, having a really good time. Definitely check out that episode. It was fun. It was awesome to talk to Jess again.
Yeah, I'm not even anywhere close to being on ICAT.
Right. And I was attempting to finish the pub side because a couple days beforehand, JT's like, "Oh, dude, have you done the pub side too?" I'm like, "No, but I will." And so I tried it, and like I was running out of time, and like literally a couple hours beforehand, I was trying to do it. And that was the weekend my parents were in town. I was trying to do all this stuff.
Right.
And I'm like, well, there's no chance I'm finishing this. And then I got on Discord with those guys. They're like, don't worry, it's the same. I was like, oh, cool. So it's a really cool episode. Definitely check out Carillion Run Radio, episode 185. And they are also doing a writing contest, as they do every so often.
They are.
And this one is Ain't Yo Wampa's writing contest. And I have a link in the show notes to it. And essentially, they have a couple pictures up on the site. And write a paragraph or a page or a whole short story and enter their contest.
Are you going to write with one hand?
I'm going to type with one hand.
Okay.
Done. You know? And also we have Extra Life coming up. The kickoff event, I believe, is next month, the 26th, I want to say. And there's some T-shirts up, and I don't have a link right now, but before I publish this, I'll have it up. There's some really cool T-shirts, and I sent you a link to
really?
that.
Yeah.
And it's cool, and all that's going to go to help Extra Life. And our guild, I know, has raised thousands of dollars, which is pretty damn cool.
Oh yeah, I mean, seriously, Jess really spearheads that with a few other people, and she does a great job.
Indeed. Speaking of, man, we're segueing the mess out of this.
We are. It's literally like we're on a two-wheel vehicle.
And so, speaking of Jesse and Grog and some other folks from our community, I think Grog DM'd. I haven't listened to it yet, and I'm sorry. This is just little information because I just wanted to make sure I highlighted them, and I'm going to go back and check it out. We can talk about it next week. But you know how we do our D&D stuff?
Right.
They did a Star Wars role-playing game.
Was it based on the Wizards of the West Coast one that came out?
I'm not sure which one it is, even, to be honest with you, but Grog was leading it. And there's some clips, and I have the link in the show notes for that. But I will definitely check that out in the meantime to next week and give them the proper due that they deserve. Because anybody that's going to basically do role-playing, tabletop role-playing, and record it and publish it,
right?
I think that's important, which I've been trying to get our group to do for a while, and
it's your wife saying no.
Yeah, it's a lot of people saying no, but we'll see. Anyway, what'd you do in game this week, dude, since we're talking about SWTOR?
Absolutely nothing. It's near the end of the school year, and that means a lot of testing going on, which means my tech services are in hot supply. They're hot demand, whatever you want to call it. I'm busy. So
you're real busy, busy.
With track being over, and I'm proctoring an SAT test on Saturday. We just finished the juniors testing.
Yeah, no, it's
got
crazy.
Senior boards coming up. It's I'm really looking forward to 10 more days of work, and then I can play SWTOR.
Indeed, man. And thanks. Yes, not the 26th, the 24th. Thanks for the correction, RJR. Yes, 24th. I picked up a shift that day, so I will not be doing that the whole time like I normally do. Here we are, real life. Don't we love it?
Real life.
So what did I do in game this week? I did WOG a couple times since last we recorded. We did Tithe. Didn't get through it. And then did a cleanup night, one shot on Monday night. That was last Monday. And then this Friday night, I've had some serious issues with the launcher. I'm still fighting the launcher a little bit on some stuff. And I had some issues this last Friday streaming because I've been trying to stream. And I got approved, actually. Well, I'm still working through the tax process of it. But we got approved for affiliates for Twitch.
Oh, awesome.
Which is pretty cool. So I'm kind of stoked about that. I'm trying to get that whole thing going before this Friday when we stream again. But we did a WOG 16-man TFB this past Friday.
Right.
And, oh, my God, that was a cluster. We had
TFB usually is.
Yeah, it was me trying to stream, Sakari streaming, Redna streaming, all of us drinking, and it was, oh God, it was chaos.
Was there a lot of people standing in stupid spit?
Oh, I don't even know what happened half the time, but we got through the first few bosses. I think there'll be a cleanup night tonight, so hopefully we'll dust that off and be done. But
well, speaking of WOG, since I wasn't on last week's episode, I didn't get to talk about what I did the week before.
Oh, please.
And I actually was on WOG.
Yes,
2 weeks ago.
You were.
Yes.
That's right.
I was over at your place, so I actually had good Wi-Fi.
Right?
And so I got to partake in WOG, and we did. I think it was TFB.
No, it was Dread.
Dread Fortress.
Dread Fortress.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a mess.
Yeah, no, it was not good. But we cleaned that up the next week on Monday and finished it off.
Very cool.
We got through 3 bosses that night when you were there. I remember that. But yeah, man. So honestly, I haven't got as much SWTOR in as I'd like. I love the game, and really, I'm consistent on Friday nights right now, and surprisingly on some Mondays. So it's been kind of nice.
Awesome.
All right, so there is an update to the Windows 10 problem we talked about a couple weeks ago. And really what it comes down to is the team is still looking into problems, but in the meantime, there are 3 workarounds. It is disabling VSync on your video card, disabling game mode in Windows, and in Windows, disabling the full screen optimization option for SWTOR.
And so this is a problem that we're having with the new Windows 10 creators update.
I think so. I'm not sure which update. I don't have Windows 10.
I'm having a couple of bugs that when I uploaded it, when I updated it on my work computer, it was having a major issue with working with my my antivirus.
Oh, interesting.
And now since I've updated it, my laptops were running fine with it, but since I've done it on my desktop, for some reason my antivirus is gone.
Really?
And I can't connect any of my network adapters.
Huh.
So I don't know, and
I wonder if that's Windows. You might want to email them. That's crazy.
Yeah, and what's weird is because it used to be able that you could do a restore right back to the previous update. Now it's harder to do that with the new. It's not easily findable. So I need to try to just figure that out.
Nice. Oh, Arjo just updated me. So you guys did the cleanup last night. All right, cool. All good. I won't play games tonight then. Forget you guys. I'm secretly joking.
But he said that JT kept his lockout for tonight. So.
Nice. Yeah. Well, I texted him. We'll find out. I'm gonna play some games tonight, dude.
Word.
I'm gonna do something. I gotta do something, man. I gotta go back to work tomorrow.
I'm finishing laundry.
Man, we lead exciting lives.
Yeah, we do.
That? All right. So speaking of exciting lives, it's not really a segue.
You're horrible.
Thank you. So roadmap. Remember we talked about roadmaps?
Yes.
And Keith came out and he said, I want to let you know I'm still on target to deliver the SWTOR roadmap this month. So there's 2 days left this month, right?
Right.
Tuesday is the last month? Okay. Just throw that out there. I will share with you the direction for each SWTOR gameplay area, our plans to improving a variety of in-game experiences, and insight into how we'll be communicating with you going forward. In the meantime, I'd like to continue providing you with a weekly update. And so you weren't here when we said this before, but you'll now be able to customize Theron's outfit. That's a little tidbit.
Interesting.
So we talked about that on CRR and with John last week. But speaking of, and the only reason I brought that up again was because there's a couple follow-ups. So
he doesn't have to wear the red jacket all the time now?
I don't know. I think not. I think you might be able to put maybe Diet Blue.
That'll work.
He could be a Smurf. Okay, so on this point, you are correct. So the bottom line is this. The Harbinger is an issue and has been an issue. So regardless of the Harbinger... So somebody posted asking, is the roadmap going to have to do with what's going on with the Harbinger? And so the question is, also hinted out that the hard issue like this might not be found on the roadmap and you may communicate it separately. Regardless, the Harbinger server issue isn't linked to the roadmap at all. And he says, of course, you're correct. It's not linked to the roadmap, but as you know, we've had to adjust a number of issues with that server over the past couple of months. And part of what's going on is they're moving data servers. They're doing a bunch of behind-the-scenes stuff. So they're just kind of keeping us in the know of this stuff. But
right.
but they are working on it. And he says, I fully understand your frustration. Hope you'll hang with me long enough to realize how much I do care about our players, our game, and everyone's opinions. And the next couple of posts I'm going to talk about here in a minute, I think it's pretty obvious that he does. Speaking of, for fun, somebody put this thing up. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it had to do with, and you remember I brought up to you a couple weeks ago and I was like, if they're going to increase the speeds of the speeders, I want to be able to not be knocked off.
Right.
This has nothing really to do with that, but a little bit. This guy kind of did an in-character kind of thing. He says, I'm against increased speed limits because of safety concerns. And we still haven't got the traffic lights installed at major intersections. When are we going to get that traffic citation droids we were promised to help maintain safety? Also, some of the maps aren't even big enough to justify faster speed limits, but that's another discussion. Just one of those fun little things. And he wrote back, he said, so this is Keith again. He just says, so what I read from your comments is we need to offer a new character perk, vehicle collision prevention. I'll look into it.
That's funny. But, speaking about planets that aren't big enough to... What the heck is up with Hutta having 4 taxi spots?
Yeah, it's madness, dude. Anyway, that aside, somebody kind of said, hey, it's almost the end of May, like I was alluding to a second ago. Is the roadmap still coming in May? And he says it's going through the review process. And yeah, he had his dad... It's funny because we were talking about real life a minute ago, and he's very, communicating that he's dealing with real life stuff. And he said, also not sure how spending a few days with my dad translate into 3 weeks of unannounced vacation. But after reading some of the comments, that's starting to sound like an awesome idea. So I guess people are like, hey, you're taking a vacation and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, it's funny. All right, man. So command rank 5. What do you think about that? It's not a thing. Okay.
No.
So somebody was saying command rank 5. The name of the thread is command rank 5 happening, not just a bad, sick, twisted joke from BioWare. So Keith said, I may be opening a can of worms by replying, but I wanted to address the question about tier 5. Essentially, what you're seeing is just old data. And he says, no plans to add tier 5 levels or crates to command Galactic Command anytime soon. And that makes sense. I mean,
I'm still on command rank 1.
Well, and command rank 4 is hidden behind rank 300. So once you get to 300, you're into 4.
Right.
So adding 5 to that, I don't even know how that would work. So they're not doing that, at least not anytime soon. I'm sure they're going to give us plenty of time and figure out a way to make that fair if they are going to do that.
Right.
And I guess some people are having some issues with the user agreement popping up when they try to log in. And the update to that is, and this is from Musco, he says, quick update. We believe we know what might be causing this, but the team's still investigating, and he'll give us an early update this week. And he says, in the meantime, you can still access the game by accepting the terms of service and the EULA. And sorry for the inconvenience. And I haven't seen that, but some people are having issues with that.
So it's basically just like the first time you downloaded the client.
Exactly. Oh, what's up, Skeen? I just looked over at the chat. My chat's in a different window tonight, so if I'm looking away from you, it's because I literally am.
That's why I'm keeping up to date with it. I'm actually chatting with the guys because I value our fans.
I know you just didn't say that. Okay, that's fine. So Eric Musk, I'm so mad at you right now. Increasing the frequency. Okay, so here the name of this post is whispering. Level 1 spam gold spammers are whispering people, right? And this I've seen this in the past, but it happens so rarely. And he says, Eric says, hey there, just some quick notes on your post. Others are pointing on the thread. If you're being whispered by a level 1 character, it's because they're coming from a sub or a preferred account, because you can't whisper unless you're unless you're one of those. And then that might mean that somebody's account might be compromised. So if that's the case, report it, right? Bottom line, anytime this stuff happens,
whenever anything with spammers or gold farmers or anything, I always report it.
Yeah.
Always.
It's only a couple clicks, people. Come on. So maintenance on the 25th, that happened this past Tuesday. And this was part of that, what I was saying a minute ago, merging, moving data centers, etc.
Right.
And it said, and it actually came up way quicker. Everything went real smooth. And the downtime, I know, was a sticking point for some folks because it was the middle of the day for the European people.
Right.
And they weren't super pumped about that. But it came up pretty quick. So here we go.
Good.
Last thing here. There seems to be some issue people are having with the decoration problem. And to say there's issues with the decorations is like saying like, hey, we're playing a video game. So like people aren't super stoked about various things. And Eric said, just keep the feedback coming. If you have an issue with the way the decorations work or whatever's going on, keep the feedback coming. And, they're looking at it. They may not respond to everyone, but it is what it is. So if you have a beef, tell them your beef.
What's funny is because I've done betas and all that stuff for SWTOR. There's only been one thing that I've ever like turned in that actually I got a response to, and they fixed it shortly after, which means I feel valued because I feel like I was the one that caught it. and it was on Voss, and right when before you were going into the, down into the cave and everything.
Yeah.
And you had the east and the west, whatever. On west, it said est. The W was for some reason never there.
Oh,
when
interesting.
when it popped up. So, a lot of people they either don't have those come up or whatever. So I turned it in and it was like, this was like 4 years ago.
Well,
but I
there we
thought,
are.
yeah,
You are valued, dude.
I am.
Just like skiing.
I'm valuable.
Let's not get crazy. All right, man. So, that still says trailer time. Here, let's do this just for fun. We already went through SWTOR. So that's SWTOR. That was our SWTOR section.
That was our SWTOR section.
Do you have anything else you want to talk about SWTOR?
No, I can't wait to get back in the game.
Yeah, same here, man. And I want to say a big thanks to WOG and Unholy Alliance, Wookiee Mistake, and Skeen, and all these folks who are just. I mean, I love our community, and as little as I'm in game right now this time of year, I appreciate all of you very much. So that's that little not you, but them. See?
I'm in
See how I
the
twisted it?
market for a new podcast
Yeah,
partner.
okay. No. It's too late for that. Okay, so let's get to Star Wars.
I'm in the market for a new best friend.
Oh my God, we have a ton of Star Wars. Let's go.
I was raised to do one thing. But I've got nothing to fight for.
Nothing will stand in our way. I will finish what you started.
This might be old chat news, but I'm with Kid Lee. I'm not gonna upgrade to Windows 10 on this machine. I'm just not.
Actually, Windows 10 is really good.
I have Windows 7 Ultimate.
Yeah, you're weird. I really like Windows 10, but it's the new Creators Update, which is the one that's causing me issues.
Uh-huh.
But on the original Windows 10, I had nothing but good things.
Moving on, we're in Star Wars, dude. The first thing, I have a picture up in our feed here on Twitch of Star Wars 40th anniversary, man. And the first link I have is literally to StarWars.com, which why would you not go there? There's a ton of stuff. I can't even wade through all of this stuff, dude. Excuse me. I only picked and choose from a few things to deal with today, but if you are into Star Wars and you want to celebrate the 40th, and we would have recorded on the 40th on Thursday if I hadn't been called into work. So it is what it is, but there's so much stuff here. So what do you think, man? 40 years.
I feel old.
Yeah, right.
I'm older than Star Wars. You are not.
I'm not. I'm just a little younger than Star Wars.
Yeah, you are.
So nothing else to say about that besides that?
No, I'm excited. 40 years.
That's great, man.
That's big.
Okay, cool. So new standalone film to be decided next month. And that is the bottom line right now. So we are on the cusp of getting a decision, dude. And it says, we haven't identified it yet, but yes, another spinoff is in development. This is Kathleen Kennedy. And this is in the Vanity Fair deal, which we're going to talk a ton about today.
Right.
We have a couple things right now that we're circling, and we're making a decision between the two pretty shortly. It's probably for 2020, and we'll make a decision by June. So
Really funny. What's happening in June?
what is?
D23.
Oh, shocking.
And we have been talking about this for months.
Yeah.
That is when they were going to release the info.
Well, and Skeen and I actually talked about it last week, and that seems to be the logical deal. And then they're really going to highlight that, I think, at Comic-Con. I think they're going to, after D23,
Yes.
right? The next, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So we're going to hopefully get some new nuggets of the new deal for Comic-Con for sure, right? What do you think?
I'm actually hoping it's not Boba Fett.
No, I really don't think it's going to be, dude. And we've talked about this enough, but I don't think there's any chance it's going to be Boba
No, but
Fett.
if you notice if you read back to Kathleen Kennedy's quote, she said between the two, which means they've narrowed it down to two concepts. They just haven't decided. So I'm kind of curious one of them's probably Boba Fett. I'm kind of curious what the other one is.
Yeah, I've said my piece about Boba Fett. What do I want to see though? I would like to see do you think we're gonna get to the point to where they're gonna do spinoffs from spinoffs, where it'll be like a young Lando or something based off of the young Han Solo? Do you know what I'm saying?
You know what I would love to see? a Vader standalone
Oh, that'd be so
that
sick.
tracks him from episode 3 to episode 4.
Yeah, that'd be good too. But then, but then we have all the animated stuff that's done, and we have comics.
We do,
like,
but even with the
I still think they need to go with Kenobi.
Kenobi would be my number one.
I think that's of the major players. That's the story that hasn't been told in
because-
canon yet.
Yeah,
at
because the
least.
only canon thing we've seen of him between Clone Wars and and episode 4 is in the Rebels season, this last season.
Right.
But with Vader, I mean, we had a little bit with the comic book and in Rogue One, but when he shows up in, he's the main character in Clone Wars, but so in between Revenge of the Sith and Rogue One, the only thing you ever see him in is Rebels, and
Right.
it's very tangential.
I hear you, man. Yeah, I'm up for anything. I think bottom of my list, I think, is Boba Fett, just because I feel like I've had enough of the Fett family. But
Yeah. I'm with Kidley. I think my number one choice would be Kenobi, and my second choice would be something from the Old Republic.
yeah, that would be really cool if they bring in something from the Old Republic,
I think the only thing they could really do that would be mainstream would be Revan.
No, but they've already mentioned Bane, though. They could do Bane because they've canonized
they
Bane,
mentioned-
sort of.
They did, but it was in offhanded at the end of Clone Wars.
But then they can kind of bring in, those Bane books are good, man. There's some really good stuff there. I think they could do that. And I think either that or Kenobi would be cool, too. I don't know. What do you think? Anything else?
I mean, I think they could focus on the Mandalorian Wars.
Yeah?
But I think if they did, that would be more of the next cartoon that Filoni does.
True. What do you think? The wife's asked me another hour, probably? With all the stuff we
With
have?
that.
Yeah. Okay, cool. This is what happens.
Depends on how much you
Don't start saying I'm going to talk a lot, because I'm not going to. Okay, so Last Jedi news. Vanity Fair.
You and a cast, you just talk a lot.
Okay, Vanity Fair reveals Star Wars: The Last Jedi special issue. This is basically, obviously, timed for the 40th anniversary.
Of course.
There's 4 amazing covers for it. This Vanity Fair article, a lot of the stuff I'm going to say after this all comes from that. And what I like about what comicbook.com does sometimes is it makes the people. I have the actual deal in here. It says, I have the link in the show notes somewhere in here for the whole article and all the stuff. It's in chapters. It's serious.
That's cool.
I haven't read it all yet, and most people aren't. But what these things do is kind of break apart a few things. So that's kind of what I'm going to talk about tonight. So first thing here is Captain Phasma will have a slick new weapon in The Last Jedi. And what I like about this is you see it in the picture. I don't know if you've seen this. It looks like a little... it basically looks like just
A battle staff.
like a staff of some sort, but it's kind of sharp. It's sharp on both sides. It's real
It's
thin.
almost like a pike.
Yeah, it's real thin. What I like about it, though, is it says, Hidalgo says it's more low tech than many would assume. And what I like is that this is kind of close quarters kind of thing for her. And I'd love to see her using it. And it kind of reminds me of Game of Thrones.
Oh, yeah.
Which I think would be sick. And there's some details about Kelly Marie Tran's character in the articles as well. And this is what's the Rose Tico is the character's name.
Cool.
And there's some stuff about that in here. And there was something I wanted to pick out of this. Hold on. It says the details don't paint either Rose or Paige as integral components of the film, but considering Han Solo was merely a smuggler and Luke Skywalker merely worked on a farm, many of the franchise's most important characters have humble beginnings. So I think this might be one of those characters that does something else kind of after, which would be kind of cool. And I don't know. Seeing these 3 together, I think that's a really cool pick.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
The 3 we're talking about is Finn, Poe, and Rose.
Oh, sorry, I forgot. We're not.
We're not a visual medium.
We're not a visual medium, and I forgot. You're
dumb.
You're stupid. Okay, so this I think is one of my favorite posts from this whole thing. Luke Skywalker, Mark Hamill, disagreed with Luke Skywalker's storyline in The Last Jedi. And the quote I'm going to pull out of this is this. At one point, this is Mark talking. I at one point had to say to Ryan, I pretty much fundamentally disagree with every choice you've made for this character. Now, having said that, I've gotten it off my chest, and my job now is to take what you've created and do my best to realize your vision. And he went on to say he's on board with both the theatrical cuts of Force Awakens and Last Jedi, and he admits he's partial to his ideas, even they aren't always the best. And he says, I have thousands of really terrible ideas I would love to share with you, among which you might, just the law of averages, find a nugget of something and go, that's not as terrible as the other 35 you just told us. So I like his humor, and I also like the fact that he's like, look, this is not where I would have gone with it, but I respect you enough to go forward with it.
Right, and actually, this is something that kind of came up today, and I didn't put it into the show notes, but that it has come out that the story writing for these movies has been very similar to the original trilogy and not like the prequel trilogy.
Right.
Whereas the prequel trilogy, it had to end at a certain point, so everything was leading to something, so you had to plan it out.
Right.
Whereas the original trilogy, he could change things as it went along, which is why you have Luke and Leia kiss, and then all of a sudden there's brother and sister later.
They're related.
Exactly. Things like that.
Yeah.
Because as it turns out, when Rian Johnson was brought on to write Episode 8 and write the treatment for Episode 9, they just said, it's all for you. You do what you need to do.
Right.
And so he took over after The Force Awakens had been written, and he could go anywhere he wanted with it.
Well, even though the chat's behind me, I have Disco Dom agreeing with me, Kenobi. So we win. You seem pretty nonplussed about that.
I brought that up about 5 minutes ago.
Did you?
Yeah. Wow.
Well, here we are.
I didn't actually shout out Disco Dom, but so I apologize.
Well,
Disco
I'm
Dom.
giving him the respect he deserves.
You just want the street cred.
I do. I've been talking about Kenobi forever, so here we are. All right. We're on the same page, bro. Which
Yeah,
is
we
important. So the cast is attending. Oh, no, wait, I missed it. Something else. Oh, this is cool, too. Rian Johnson and Kathleen Kennedy discussed The Last Jedi's mysterious title. And again, this is one of those nuggets that comicbook.com pulls out of it. Mm-hmm. But really what it is they're like, yeah, we kept it ambiguous kind of on purpose.
Yeah.
And I think that's important. I think it's not as, I don't know, I'm sorry for choice of words, lame as The Phantom Menace. But The Last Jedi makes it like, you can interpret things. Like The Phantom Menace means nothing.
Well, yeah, true, but and actually, this just
I saw you disagreed with me on that. Continue.
No, well, this just jumped into my mind. The fact that this isn't the first title that had an ambiguous plurality. Okay?
Oh yeah, yep.
If you think about the title "Revenge of the Sith," was that the revenge of a singular Sith getting revenge, like the Emperor,
Indeed.
or was it the revenge of the Sith as a whole taking revenge on the Jedi?
I got you, man. I can't wait to see what happens, and it's your birthday, man.
I can't wait.
It's gonna be a great day. And Last Jedi will. Oh wait, I'm skipping things. Last Jedi cast reflects on Carrie Fisher's legacy. The picture. Okay, so one of the
cover photo.
One of the four
awesome.
cover photos. Carrie Fisher's. I really like that she's got there's a high collar on one side,
Very
low on
regal.
the other. It is, and of course it's Anne Leibovitz. Is it
Right.
Annie Leibovitz. The photography is just so beautiful. Like all these shots are really good. The part of this article that pulls out is just kind of the things people were saying about Carrie Fisher and her impact,
Right.
which we've heard at some cons and some other stuff from what was it? What was the last big Star Wars thing that happened? Star Wars Celebration.
Right.
We've heard some of that stuff. So definitely check that out. It's all really touching. And
It is.
And that picture, speaking of which, I'm going to move this around a little bit. There's some episode 9 news in here, and I'm just going to throw that out here right now. The idea is that Carrie Fisher told Kennedy basically episode 9 needs to have me front and center. Episode 7 was Han, episode 8 is Luke, and episode 9 should be her.
Right.
And Kennedy basically says, yeah, it would have been. It was going to be. And now that it's not, it's really going to be interesting to see where 9 goes.
It kind of makes me think about, because, as we talked about a couple weeks ago, that Colin Trevorrow is now writing 9 and it's not
Right.
Rian Johnson.
Right.
Could it be because he had set it up to go that route, and now he's like, it's not that he's stuck in that mindset, but it's like that framework is already there, and so they need a new voice to come in, and they just said Trevorrow's
Or someone fresh to be like, okay, let's look at it without Leia.
that preconception,
You know what I mean?
right?
Yeah. So, so anyway, I threw that in there, just for that reason, since we were already talking about Leia. And The Last Jedi, this is the preview. The link I have in here, it says Last Jedi, the definitive preview. And that is all of these articles, from
Right.
front to back, which is really nice in digital form with all the pictures, chapter by chapter. They go dark side, light side, characters. It's really freaking cool. I have not kind of dived through it all yet. It's thousands and thousands and thousands of words, and it's really well written, really well shot, but definitely gonna need some more time.
You got to remember, just a couple of years ago, there was the major Vanity Fair article when Force Awakens came out, and Andy
Indeed.
Leibovitz did those famous pictures in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon.
Right.
And then, back when Phantom Menace came out in '99, they had a big Vanity Fair issue too. So.
Indeed, yeah. So it's in the same vein. The cast is attends a scoring session for The Last Jedi, and which I think is so cool because of course you have John Williams, and you figure you shoot a movie and then to have the actors go in and watch it being scored, I think is really darn cool. So
Absolutely.
I've got that in there. Last Jedi will not focus on any epic romances. Oh, sorry. I'll edit that out. I keep burping.
Yeah, you do.
Excuse me. It's beer. I'm sorry. I like beer. Oh, would you stop? Anyway, Last Jedi will not focus on any epic romances. What do you think about this, considering episode 5 did?
Well, I think this is just that people are expecting it to be a mirror of Empire because Force Awakens was like a mirror of A New Hope,
Right.
and
Which is what Ski and I talked about last week a bit. Yeah.
right. And I just I'm okay with it.
Yeah. I don't think it needs the romances, and not every movie needs a romantic arc.
No, and actually, a great example of this is the original Mission Impossible movie in '96 from Brian De Palma. The Tom Cruise character and the Emmanuel Barrett character, who played John Voight's wife in that movie, they originally had a love scene, and when it didn't work, and
Right.
so you kind of see hints of it in the final cut, but they yanked that out, and it just made the movie so much better because you didn't need it.
Agreed. So yeah, I mean, if there were to do any romances, I mean, they might hint at some romances. Do you think it might be a trans character and maybe one of the guys, or what do you think?
I think I think it'd be awesome if it was a hint at the bromance between Poe and Finn.
I know we talked about that a few weeks ago. I mean, I think that'd be fun, but I think that picture with the two guys and the girl, I think they're the hinting at a love triangle kind of thing,
Right.
kind of like in episode 4 where you get Han and Luke kind of going after
Right.
Leia, like.
Still, she's got spirit.
Yeah, and I love those are some of the best lines, is the little like, hey, no, I like her too. Oh no, you can't have her. I'm not sure if I like her yet, kind of thing. And
Exactly.
that might be kind of cool. I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah,
And
well, you and I talked about this off mic, but a couple days ago, but how I love that meme of the scene from Force Awakens where Poe and Finn see each other on the ground and they're looking at each other so intensely.
right.
And somebody had overwritten in the meme, it said, tell the whole world we're bros, dude. And then it's one of them whispering, we're bros, dude. And he's like, why'd you whisper it? And he goes, because you're my whole world, bro.
Yeah, I love that kind of stuff. All right, man. So last thing here for Last Jedi 40th anniversary Vanity Fair kind of stuff. This to me makes sense. The name of the article makes sense, but we may not learn much about Snoke in The Last Jedi.
I would hope not.
I hope not either. And we didn't know anything about
The Emperor.
the Emperor.
No.
Pretty much in the whole trilogy.
No, it wasn't until, we learned he was the Emperor and he was the one pulling all the strings. But you didn't really, you knew his name was Palpatine.
Yeah.
And you knew he used to be a senator, but
But until you get to the prequels, you don't know anything about
you
it.
don't know squat.
Right. And I think that's okay. And I think they're, I love all the Snoke theories and stuff out there that makes me laugh, but I don't know.
My
To me,
my favorite Snoke theory is that he's the stormtrooper that hit his head on the doorway.
right? Oh, that'd be awesome. All right, man. Last thing for episode stuff. Episode 9, the production date. It's going to actually start production a month after Last Jedi. hits the theaters. So they're
So
starting
next
in the
January.
winter.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. Which is cool. And
Yeah.
I already talked about the Leia stuff. So let's get to, I think I'm going to skip the Battlefront stuff
Okay.
just because I don't really care right now. Well, I'll just say it. There's a new Battlefront trailer. I haven't watched it yet, and I didn't put it in trailer time. And there's some cool info maybe about the protagonist. I like that there's a story.
Right. Well, the protagonist
Battlefront?
is that female
Imperial
Soldier,
officer,
right,
yeah,
yeah.
soldier, yeah. So I'm into that, and like I said, I haven't watched the trailer yet. I got a link in the show notes to it. Battlefront 2. I never picked up Battlefront 1, mostly because I played it at Comic-Con that year, and there was no story. And if there's no story,
Right. It was-
I'm past the point of just playing a shooter to shoot. You know?
Yeah,
what
I
mean?
don't play shooter games.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought the gameplay was cool, but it was like, okay, this is just a different skin of Halo.
Yeah, and it wasn't gonna hold my attention.
And not really
so-
even Halo, more of a
Yeah.
you know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're saying.
Team Fortress.
Yeah, merchandise. Morchus. So there's a bunch of 40th anniversary merchandise, and it's way more than I can cover in this thing.
Well,
There's-
both Disney and Star Wars love their anniversaries.
Oh, yeah.
So there's just going to be tons of stuff.
So there's a commemorative coin, of course, which you must have. There's also Luke and Han Solo and Luke Elite Series diecast action figures. There's a lithograph set. There's ornaments. There's Princess Leia limited edition figurine. I mean, some of this stuff is $250. I mean, if you're in, here's the thing: if you're listening to this and it's already how many days past the 40th anniversary and you don't have this stuff, you weren't in the market for this stuff.
No.
Let's just put it out that way. But there's some really cool stuff. And I also have a link in here, too, for this article is actually really neat. This is on Nerdist, I believe. And this is this is on StarWars.com. And it's one of those links that I mentioned earlier, but it's Star Wars at 40, Darth Vader Reborn, the story of Hasbro's stunning new Black Series figure. And it's kind of like step by step, how they figured it out, early stages. It's one of those really cool reads. So I threw that there in merchandise as well.
Awesome. And I just want to touch on what Skeena said in
Nope.
chat.
Ignore Skeen.
That he's
Anything
saying
he's
that
saying.
I am Snoke, and you heard it here first. And
Well.
I'd like to say, damn you, Skeen. I told you to keep that on the down low.
Well, here we are, revealing our secrets again. Okay, Parks news. Anthony Daniels he recorded new lines for the Star Tours, and you know how when the Force Awakens came out, there was a new route, let's say,
Right.
on Star Tours, and the idea is that they're doing the same thing with the Last Jedi.
Yeah, it baffled me that for years they didn't change anything about the original Star Tours route, and I'm like,
Right.
that seemed to me like the biggest selling point of a ride like that. That because it is video and choreographed movements on the mechanical angle, that would be something you could easily change to update for new content.
Yeah, I agree. So that's happening. I'm intrigued to see what they do with Star Tours, where they move it to. They're going to have to move it. I don't think, especially in Disneyland, I don't know about Disney World, but in Disneyland, they have to move it out of Tomorrowland and put it in Star Wars Land, right?
You would think so, and the cool thing is because it is that sort of ride, it's going to be hard to move. But
Yeah.
it's not like you're moving an entire track system.
No. This is
You're not moving a 2-mile track system.
You're moving these simulators. You're moving. I mean,
Right.
it's going to be
Like
intense.
we talked about how it would make sense to, especially since they did the redesign in California Adventure,
Right.
to move Roger Rabbit over there, especially since they're shrinking down the size of Toontown.
Exactly.
And to really basically taking away that theming. But that would be harder to move than this.
I agree. Speaking of rides changing, Guardians of the Galaxy ride
It's now open.
Oh my God, it's open now. It's gonna be awesome. And it looks like there's some tease to Namor and Beta Ray Bill Namor, which I don't know anything about.
Okay, Namor is a major character from like going back to the 40s.
Okay.
And he's called Namor the Submariner, right?
Oh yeah, Submariner. Okay,
Yeah.
I've heard that.
And he kind of came to prominence again because somebody, I can't remember who said it, that they wanted to play Namor, and the fact that now that Steve Rogers is no longer Captain America, as per the end of Civil War, he dropped the shield. We're assuming that's going to be taken up by either Bucky or Falcon, Sam, to take up the Captain America mantle. That he actually becomes a different character, and I can't remember the name of it, but he has interactions with Namor.
Okay.
Now, Beta Ray Bill is a little bit more towards the cosmic side.
Okay.
And, it's funny, actually, I played the Marvel Avengers Academy game.
Right.
And he just came out.
No
for
shit.
that,
Okay.
so
Well, what's interesting about this, though, man, is that it looks like on display, it looks like these pictures look like they're in the queue for the ride. And it says, the photos, it seems like these artifacts are directly hinting at future introduction of Beta Ray Bill and Namor. And that is putting them into the, Marvel Cinematic Universe, right? It says, mysterious artifacts. However, the description seems to point to Atlantis, the underwater home of Namor. And it says, were found at the bottom of the Terran Ocean. Very little is known of civilization that created them. So, I don't know. I think that's kind of cool that within the ride, if you're really a big Marvel guy, you can pick up on stuff like that and be like, okay, maybe they're hinting at that's coming to the MCU,
Yeah, exactly. And actually, there's something else that somebody saw. If you look outside the fence line for the Guardians of the Galaxy ride, there's a what looks like a sealed tunnel cap that has the Avengers logo on it.
Okay, yeah.
And I just looked it up, and Namor officially debuted in 1939.
Whew. Close, my friend. Close, my friend. There's a reason I have you on this show. Okay, and so there's also a thing in here I don't really quite understand. And this says Disney's Guardians of the Galaxy ride isn't tied to the MCU. So I don't know what that means. It's not...
well, it just means it's not the storyline. Basically...
Oh, it's a whole new story, it says.
Right, because
yeah,
it's a standalone story that you're trying to escape from the Collector's
right,
fortress.
Okay.
It's not part of any storyline in the
And
MCU.
it's weird that they have to make that distinction, but when you have everything in sync with like the comics and everything else going forward, it's like you gotta make sure you do that. And big parks news, which most people that go to parks understand, Pandora is open now.
Yeah, that opened up, I believe, was it May 17th or something?
I think it was this week, actually. I think there was a soft opening and a press opening that week, and then it opened. You might be right. I don't remember when. But it's open now, and the link I have in here has some of like, oh my God, look at this stuff. This is insane. Some of the drinks, Navi Tales, some of the food. You know what's crazy about this, man? Is this land I don't think is going to be even nearly as popular as it will be when and if it decides to, they decide to actually put that movie out.
Oh, exactly.
And once again, I am behind as we are in the Star Wars section. So here we go. I'm about to change it to the usual roundup.
Yeah.
So there we go. All right, man. Anything else, Star Wars or parks?
No, that's it for me.
Whatever.
I can't imagine any kind of future where I'm a hero. Well, in the future, none of you are heroes. You're legends.
I'll tell you what, I miss that show.
I know, it's good.
Yeah, I miss that show a lot. All right, so bad news first. Do you want to talk about the sad stuff?
Yeah, we lost a few people this week, and unfortunately, the biggest one is Roger Moore.
Yeah, man.
Who is the longest running James Bond. He was in more James Bond movies than anyone else.
He's also the first one to die as well, right? Of all the Bonds?
Honestly, I don't know if George Lazenby is gone or not.
I think I heard somewhere that he was the first one.
Okay.
But
I mean, it makes sense because I don't remember George Lazenby dying.
Yeah.
But anyway, so he passed away, and he also had the reason why he got the James Bond role is he had a starring role in The Saint, which was a huge British show that got turned into a movie in the 90s with Val Kilmer and Elizabeth Shue, which I love that movie. I thought that was a nice precursor to Bourne Identity.
Yeah,
which came out a few years later.
Definitely.
And I really enjoyed that. Also, I loved seeing him in Cannonball Run, where he played that sort of suave guy.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And what I love is, like, he played a rich guy who decided to go on the Cannonball Run, and he's talking about with his mom, and he's, like, trying to play off that he's not a secret agent, but he could be. I loved it. It was one of these, I loved it. Yeah. So, I loved Roger Moore, and he was I love Connery and everyone else do, but Roger Moore was the one that I grew up on. I mean, I still remember going to seeing a double feature of A View to a Kill and E.T. at the Madonna Theater in San Luis Obispo.
Oh man, yeah, it was sad to see that to see Roger Moore, but 89, huge life, huge impact on pop culture and everything. So
absolutely,
it's important. This one I want to throw in there is Lisa Spoonauer, I think is how I'm saying it.
Right.
She played Caitlin in Clerks, and she passed away.
In a
And
row?
well, what's crazy about this is I don't know anything about the circumstances, how old she was, anything. I didn't even dive into this. What I did was on Instagram, Kevin Smith does what he does well, and he wrote about his relationship with her, his interaction with her. And that's a link I have in the show notes, and it's touching. It's really good.
Which, by the way, if you haven't watched the Hollywood or listened to the Hollywood Babylon where he talks about Michael Parks,
Right.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no, the Michael Parks one is hard to listen to at some points because it's just so sad. So Lisa Spoonauer, and then the last one, I'll let you take this one.
It just happened today.
That was today.
Or late last night. Frank Deford, who you if you saw him, you probably wouldn't recognize him, but he was a writer, and he wrote a whole bunch of books. He was a long-time writer for Sports Illustrated, like 48 years.
Right.
He was a long-time writer. But what a lot of people in pop culture might know him for is he wrote the Dennis Quaid, Jessica Lange movie, Everybody's All-American, which is fantastic.
Right.
So if you haven't seen Everybody's All-American, I believe it came out in 1988. It was written by directed by Taylor Hackford, who went on to do Ray and a whole bunch of other stuff.
Oh, Ray's good.
Taylor Hackford's actually married to Helen Mirren.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
They've been married a long time.
Yeah,
and, just a great movie. So, writing for SI for 48 years, too, is just
It's insane, man. So going back to real quick, the chat room, Kid Lee says, going back to the Avatar thing, which we talked about in the last segment, but he says there might be a game, an Avatar video game coming out, maybe at E3, premiering at E3. So that would be interesting.
That'd be cool.
So and going back to that, there has to be some uptick in interest for Avatar, considering how many freaking years ago since that first movie, which obviously killed at the box office, but at the same time, you're putting out a whole theme park about it, and you have no new content in the last how many years?
Since 2009.
Yeah. So all right, so real reviews time. Let's get to some TV quick news. Riverdale is now streaming on Netflix, so
Yep.
no excuse for you to watch it. I'm just watch Riverdale.
I'm on episode 8.
Are you?
Yeah.
I didn't know you've been watching it.
Oh, yeah. I've been watching it most of the season, but then I just, about 5-6 weeks ago,
Yeah.
I just had other stuff come up.
Oh,
and I
kick
couldn't-
ass, dude. All right, let's talk about that when you're done.
I hate you.
Okay. Riverdale Season 2 premiere title has been revealed. And I'm going to say it. It won't mean much to you, and I'm not going to speculate too much, but it is called A Kiss Before Dying, Chapter 14, A Kiss Before Dying. So that's it. It's happening. When you finish it, we'll speculate on that, huh? And what I dig about this is Dragon Ball Super, okay? And there's a synopsis for it, and there's a tease that there's going to be a female Super Saiyan, which is amazing. I feel like you're not with me on this.
It's Dragon Ball Z, dude.
Oh, those of you in the chat can see the face that I'm making, and I am absolutely appalled. Anyway, you were not here when we talked about the Hellboy drama last week.
Yeah, no, we talked about it 2 weeks ago. When
Oh,
we
was it
talked
2 weeks
about-
ago?
Yeah, well, when we first brought it up, I don't know that you and Ski might have talked more about it, but we talked about how that the studio decided to do a reboot.
Oh,
and
we
they're
did.
Not involving Del Toro.
Right.
And actually something just came out this week that they were going to be doing a spinoff of the BRPD with Abe Sapien.
Yeah.
And that's not happening either.
That's not happening, which is one of the things I have in here. And the other one is Ron Perlman actually comments on Hellboy, the new Hellboy star, David Harbour. And, he basically says the stuff that you expect. Oh, he's a nice guy, blah, blah. But it's almost like he says it, and then he says, but we were the third one was meant to be epic and conclusive and resolve, and it kind of go on. And it's like, you can sense there's some bitterness there, even in the article from what I read.
It's got to be, yeah.
And it makes sense, but man, it just sucks the way they went about that, I feel like.
Oh, I completely agree. I really like David Harbour, and I think he's going to do a good job.
Sure.
As Hellboy, but remember a couple years ago we bumped into Ron Perlman on.
Yeah.
I mean, like he typifies
Oh,
Hellboy.
but he's also getting older too.
He's
like 70 years old, isn't he?
He's getting up there. Yeah.
I think he said he's 68 or something like that. But I mean, doesn't mean you can't play a role because you're old. Because
I mean, hell, Liam Neeson's in his 50s and he's still doing action films.
yeah, well,
He didn't start doing action films until he was 50 something.
we can't all be Liam Neeson. So
Good
here
point.
we are. Anyway, all right. So a little bit of casting news: Mission Impossible 6, which has been in production for over a month or so. Angela Bassett is going to be in the movie now as well.
Very cool, and as we've already seen, Henry Cavill is in it too. So
Right.
and they brought back Rebecca Ferguson, who's the first major female lead to return for a second outing.
Right.
Because you had, like I said, Emmanuel Barrett in the first one. You had Thandie Newton in the second one. You had Michelle Monaghan in the third one.
Right.
And
I haven't watched the last few. I don't think I watched.
Oh, they're
4 or
all
5.
very enjoyable.
No, I like the Mission Impossible stuff.
The second one was the low point.
Yeah.
Right. And that was the one that was directed by John Woo. I talked about earlier. The first one was done by Brian De Palma.
Yep.
So the second one was very John Woo-y. I mean, it's
Yeah.
all about, motorcycles up on one thing, lots of doves, lots of slow-mo, stuff like that. The third one.
John Woo did Face Off, right?
Yes.
Oh, I love that movie. Love that movie.
The third one was J.J. Abrams, which was fantastic.
Yeah.
Then J.J. Abrams' disciple, Brad Bird,
Okay.
who also did The Incredibles and Tomorrowland and a whole bunch of other things. He did the fourth one and the fifth one, I believe.
Okay.
And then the sixth one was done by Christopher McQuarrie, who's fantastic.
Oh, okay. Nice.
And he's doing Brad Bird did the fourth one, Chris McQuarrie did the fifth one, and he's doing the sixth one as well.
Cool. July 25th, we're going to get old Scarlett Johansson on Blu-ray in the form of Ghost in the Shell,
Oh, cool. Okay.
which we've seen and we've talked about.
And
but-
actually, it was. I talked about this when we saw it, but it's the way that I felt coming out of Ghost in the Shell was how I felt coming out of Johnny Mnemonic.
Oh, okay.
How it was dated, but not dated in the good way, like Blade Runner was
Right.
when it came out. Like it looked dated, but it was still state of the art. And I'm looking forward to what's next on the horizon, because after Johnny Mnemonic came out and you saw, okay, this is not great,
Right.
but it had hints of like that and Strange Days. Both had hints of things that were coming great, and the next around the corner was The Matrix.
I got you.
So it's like there's gonna be a huge shift, I think, in that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And that's where you kind of saw good things coming from Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. Like I said, I like Ghost in the Shell just fine, but I'm with you. I think something really hyper stylized is going to come up soon, kind of like in the Matrix kind of style or whatever. I think you're right. I think that's gonna be cool. Real quick, I threw this in here one shot wise for you because you like this run. DC Comics Bombshells is getting a new ongoing series.
Well, it's insane how popular Bombshells is.
Yeah.
And it's weird because normally you get like bi-weekly or monthly comics. This comes out weekly, and they're like on issue like 70 something or 90 something now. It's ridiculous.
Wow.
It's only been out for a few years.
Cool.
So they're just going to be getting a new iteration.
Nice.
Cool.
Let's get to Universal stuff. We have a ton of stuff, but I think it'll all go fairly quickly. Berlanti stuff. The next big DC crossover is set for November.
Shocker, during November sweeps? No way.
What? That's crazy. Yeah, no, it's gonna be cool, man. I hopefully by then I'm caught up on Supergirl, but if not, I love the crossovers.
The crossovers are a lot of fun, but it's official that Black Lightning
Right.
is not going to be part of the DC, the CWDC.
Right.
It's going to be on CW, and it is a DC character, but it's not going to connect to the rest of the Berlin
Right, and that's why I think we talked about that a little bit last week. And the bottom line is, how the hell are they gonna cross over 5 things?
Yeah.
Like it just seems kind of overkill.
Well, I mean, you can
very
do Monday,
difficult to
you can do
do.
Monday through Friday, but it's hard enough right now with Monday through Thursday.
Exactly. And the Flash, this is Berlanti as well. Aaron Helbing, he's not going to be on the Flash in season 4, and this is interesting because from what I understand, the two, I think they're the showrunners, him and his brother, and
Right.
it looks like on the list for who's involved for season 4, he's not on there for some reason. Just the other brother is.
Yeah, it's. I mean, he's the face of that, very much like how Mark Guggenheim is the face of Arrow and stuff like that.
Right.
But they it's not like that's the only thing they do too. So I mean, like Berlanti, he does the whole Berlanti verse, but he also does Blind Spot. What I
Right.
mean, he's got other
Right,
things.
right.
These people all have multiple projects
They have
going
stuff they're
on.
doing.
So it could just be that because his brother Todd's staying on, but it could just be that they're doing something else.
Right. So let's get to DCEU, and what I think is interesting is this idea of this growing Batverse that's happening.
Exactly, because we have Nightwing coming up, we've got Batgirl coming.
Right. And so the showrunner, the producer of this is talking about, he says, well, again, I'm not involved in Batgirl, but I'm really a big fan of Joss Whedon, which I'll get to later. I think it's a great that he's involved with the DCU. I'm trying to get in business with him for a really long time. Up until a few years ago, he was involved with Marvel, and then when he left, didn't want to talk about it for a while. So what's interesting about this is he says there's this. Well, I don't want to get into this yet, but there is definitely a Batverse happening, which is kind of exciting, but at the same time kind of interesting.
But
And
it's within the DCEU. It's not
Yes.
like Sony's Venomverse.
No, it's not like that.
Which is not going to be connected to the Spider-Verse.
Right, which I think is an important distinction for sure. But we'll come back to that when we talk about Justice League.
But even within the DCEU, we've got the Gotham City Sirens as well.
Right.
Which is obviously it's a vehicle for Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, but it could bring in the Huntress, or it could bring in Batgirl, it could bring in the Oracle.
Right.
There's other.
Well, why don't we do this? Because I have Wonder Woman in between that and Justice League. Let's just jump to Justice League.
Yeah,
and we'll go
there's
back.
there's some major Justice League stuff we can talk about.
So let's just get that out of the way. So the Justice League producer addresses reshoot rumors. Obviously, there are reshoots happening, and we've talked about this enough times. There are always reshoots.
Yeah, reshoots aren't always bad. Reshoots can be, if you've got major budget.
Right.
Like we talked about this with Rogue One, they did reshoots and it worked out great. If you've got the money, you're
Right.
going to do reshoots because you catch mistakes, you catch things, and you just need a tweak story, something like that.
But this is coming on the heels of the biggest issue that is happening with Justice League, and this has to do with Zack Snyder leaving the project.
Yes.
And Joss Whedon.
Earlier this
the
month, it was
major
announced that
reason
Zack
being,
Snyder would be
obviously,
stepping
is
away from his
the,
Justice League directing duties after a family tragedy. We
Zack
here at
Snyder's
Nerdist would like to
daughter
offer our
committed
deepest
suicide.
condolences to
Right.
Snyder
And
and
this
his
happened months
family.
ago, but
In the meantime,
he tried
Joss
to throw
Whedon will
himself
be
back
taking
into
over for
work, and it
Snyder,
just
tasked
wasn't
with the
working.
responsibility
And
of
honestly,
getting
he's
Justice League
kind
over
of
to the
dark
finish line.
anyways.
Now, this
And
includes
so I
guiding
think it
it
would
through
have taken
post
it
as
into
well as writing and
not
directing
necessarily
a few
bad
additional
area, but not a healthy area for him.
Right.
And so I'm glad he's stepping down, and I think Joss Whedon coming over and taking over the reshoots, which were going to happen anyways. This isn't Joss Whedon coming in and saying,
No.
I want to do reshoots.
No.
This is it was very amicable.
And going into this, he says, let me just find what I want to read here. He said, okay, so it says, tonight Charles Roven appeared at the premiere for Wonder Woman, and he said, we're excited about the film, of course, but we're saddened by the events that caused Zack Snyder and Deborah Snyder to have to leave and turn the reins over to Joss Whedon. He was already working with us on some of the scenes for that additional photography, et cetera, et cetera. And then he says, and then it goes on. It says, in my mind, I thought it was a cathartic thing to go back to work, to just bury myself and see if that was the way to through it. And that was Snyder talking. So obviously, there's a whole chain of events happening here. But ultimately, what's going on now is Joss Whedon is taking over, right?
Right.
And I think it's going to be really interesting to see Joss Whedon go from Avengers and everything else he's done to now working on Justice League. And then having the reshoots already happening, I think people are making their own conclusions here.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to make your own conclusions, but I'm just excited because you're bringing in talent. That's all it is. Talent gives good stories.
I agree. All right. Anything else on Justice League?
Nope.
All right. Wonder Woman. Gal Gadot explains why Wonder Woman is needed now more than ever. And I like this article only in this one line that she says. She says, She says, I think that everything Wonder Woman stands for is brilliant. She stands for justice and peace and wisdom and love and acceptance and compassion. And all of these things are rare. They're becoming rare in our world. And I only wanted to highlight that for that line because, God darn it. You know, it's getting kind of frustrating with what's going on in the world in light of some of the other stuff that inevitably we'll have to end up talking about later in a few minutes here. But, yeah, I think somebody that stands up for those things is important right now,
right.
Whether it be a man or a woman. You know
exactly.
what I mean? So I'm glad that happened. And Patty Jenkins, I like this article. I'm not going to read a lot of it. Patty Jenkins reveals why she chose to shoot Wonder Woman on film. And it's kind of like one of those things like all the great filmmakers shoot on film. Why would we not shoot on film? That's stupid that we don't, and blah, blah, blah. And I like that article because she's kind of snarky, and I think
exactly.
that's cool. And in light of heavier events, as we've talked about, Wonder Woman in the UK premiere was canceled in light of the Manchester bombing at the Ariana Grande concert. And yeah, but on top of that, the LA premiere went forward, but they increased security and that went off fine. But yeah, man, it's a scary time that we're living at. And at the end of the show, I don't want to end on a heavy note, but I do have something I want to talk about that's a little heavy on this note. But we'll talk about that
we'll get
in a little
it.
bit. And the producer says there's no plans for a sequel yet for Wonder Woman.
Well, I'm sure they're waiting to see how box office does.
Yeah, and I think that's important. Black Adam, real quick. There's an article in here, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, what attracted him to Black Adam. And we talked about Black Adam last week a little bit, I think. And he says, I love the idea that his backstory, that it starts off as a slave. I feel like when somebody is oppressed that way, but has a bigger ambition and a greater belief, than the oppression that's holding him down, that's a powerful place to be. So, and he says his family gets killed, he comes back from that, and on all of that. So I think that's cool, and I'm intrigued to see this Black Adam project kind of come together.
Yeah, and as I've said numerous times, like I've never been like the comic books I read growing up were not these comic books, DC or Marvel, and I got big into Marvel in the 90s and 2000s, but I'm a latecomer to DC, and it was the Berlantiverse that brought me into it. So I'm discovering all these characters for the first time, which is fantastic.
Right. And sorry for anybody in the chat room. Comicbook.com got this stupid thing going in the background right now, so I apologize for that if you're hearing that. So let's go Green Lantern Corps. New rumor describes film as DC's Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense, but the funny thing is, just about 5 months ago, they were talking about how it was going to be a buddy cop movie in space.
That's kind of how they're billing it, and we'll see. We'll see how it goes. And the Flash, the rumor is the Flash finally has a finished script,
a third finished script.
And what's funny is in the article it says like after many rewrites,
right,
it has a script. So and a new title. And let me grab the title real quick. And I know that there's background stuff going. Mini drafts. I'm not going to find the title, am I? I'm over the title. Screw the title because I don't want to run the ads. But anyway, let's get to DuckTales because
Woohoo.
Disney. Oh, nice, dude. Lin-Manuel Miranda joins Disney's DuckTales reboot cast as a voice. And there's some awesome actors in this.
There is, and seriously, if you add Lin-Manuel Miranda to anything, it's going to be making it better.
What I like about this, man, is that recently the wife and kids and I, we watched one of the DuckTales movies just because the kids hadn't seen it and they got it at the library or something just randomly, and we watched it and I just remember how much fun that show was every day, and I'm glad they're rebooting it, and it sounds like it's going to be pretty solid. So.
Yeah, and just Lin-Manuel Miranda is so talented, and I mean he's almost all the way to getting an EGOT already, and he's so young. So
indeed, Castlevania. As far as Netflix, we're in Netflix land now, and we talked about the trailer in Trailer Time.
Yep.
And the release date is confirmed as
I'm guessing sometime around Halloween.
Yeah, no, it was sooner than that. I feel like July.
Oh wow,
July 7th.
I'm guessing they're trying to get kids while they're out of school.
Yeah. So July 7th, we're going to get the Castlevania anime Netflix deal, and it's going to be sick.
Cool.
Let's talk about Venom, dude.
I wasn't here last week when I'm sure you guys talked about it, but I am all in on Tom Hardy playing Venom.
No, I think it's gonna be great, and I hope he does the same voice, kind of secretly, but it's fine. Between him and Bane, but it's fine. So Sony announces Marvel's universe. This is basically happening. There's gonna be Venom. Venom is gonna be directed by Zombieland's Ruben Fleischer.
Cool.
Which is cool. And there's also an article in here as how Eddie Brock became Venom without black suit Spider-Man, because this Venom, I guess, is happening without Spider-Man bringing the symbiote from another planet, I guess. But, you know, I don't know enough about it to care, but it's going to happen.
It is, and it'll work. They'll figure it out.
And the Venom stuff is actually, sounds kind of cool, man. And Sony is actually, their whole idea is to kick off this, I guess this new, their own little universe.
Yeah,
right?
the Venomverse.
Right, which is important.
Absolutely, and it looks like it might be connected with Silver Sable and Black Cat too. I mean,
right,
because they're all connected to Spider-Man.
Which I have right here. Yeah, so the spin-off movie, that one gets a director, and this is part of this whole universe as well. So Ruben Fleischer is going to direct the Venom movie, and Tom Hardy set to star. And it says Gina Prince Bythewood, writer and director of The Secret Life of Bees, is going to direct this particular spinoff.
Cool,
which is pretty cool. All right, man, we're almost done.
Almost done.
Sort of. I don't know. Kind of. Yeah, no, we're almost done. Fox.
Yeah, Fox is saying that they're in no hurry to find Hugh Jackman's Wolverine replacement. Which
Well, what it
makes
comes
sense.
down to is they're doing all these other characters and stuff.
They are, and I mean, there's no.
How cool is Logan?
Logan is cool, but there's no X-Men movie that requires Wolverine in the offing.
Right.
And the next thing that would make sense for him to be in would be X-Force, but even that's not necessarily necessary.
Indeed.
And that's the third Deadpool movie, so it's going to be down the line.
Right. And Michael Fassbender he is probably going to be in Dark Phoenix from what I get from the article.
Right.
But nobody's really talking yet.
Yeah, there's very little information on Dark Phoenix coming out yet.
And X-23 probably won't be in future X-Men movies because where would she be?
She's in Canada.
Yeah, it's in a nutshell, it just wouldn't quite fit, especially as...
well, it really doesn't make sense because she's now so far in the future.
Right.
As opposed to everyone else because they're still back in this time period.
That's a good point, too. And although time is a little funky, but you're right. And The Gifted, which is the TV show,
right.
X-Men TV show, Anna Paquin's rogue character, she kind of dodged around the question if she was going to show up in it. And so it kind of sounded like she might be, but she can't talk about it yet.
Cool.
So just a little rumor thing. And Deadpool 2, Jack Kesey is going to be the villain in the piece. And I'm not familiar with Jack Kesey. Do you know who this guy is?
I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with him. Let's see. The rumor is that he's going to play Black Tom Cassidy, which was created by Chris Claremont and Dave Cockrum. And that was an X-Men 101 in 1976.
Oh, he came from The Strain, and he's in the new movie Baywatch.
Okay, cool. And New Mutants news. We have New Mutants movie will be a full-fledged horror movie. Can you believe that?
That'd be cool.
Oh, it's going to be crazy. I don't think I can watch it. We'll see. And there's reportedly a cast of Sunspot, and I don't think this is confirmed yet, but according to EW, a source close to Josh Boone says that Henry Zaga, which is in 13 Reasons Why and Teen Wolf, has been cast as Sunspot.
Well, Sunspot's one of the major New Mutants, so you know it's big to get a name actor for that. Well, not necessarily a name, but a quality actor.
Right, indeed. And I read this earlier today. Rosario Dawson is in talks to play one of the New Mutants in X-Men New Mutants.
And this is just showing that DC and Marvel and Fox and Sony and everyone are starting to play nicer with everybody, because as we see like Josh Brolin going from Marvel to DC, and everybody switches. So
what's cool about this is the person she's supposed to be playing, Dr. Cecilia Reyes. She was created in the 90s. She's a Puerto Rican character, trauma surgeon. What's actually kind of funny is that, but check that out.
Wow.
Doesn't that look just like her?
Yep.
It's crazy. Anyway, I'll watch Rosario Dawson in anything.
Yeah, we will.
Period. Guardians of the Galaxy 2, which we're going to talk about here briefly because we've both finally seen the damn film.
I loved it.
And it's made over $700 million worldwide.
It actually just yesterday, I think, passed the first one for box office.
Yeah. And so you loved it. I loved it. What was interesting about that I liked about the movie, and I think hands down, I love the first one. And to me, it's not as good as the first one, but for a different reason than you think. It's just way funnier.
Oh, it is hilarious.
It's way, way funnier than the first one.
Little Groot is hilarious.
Oh my God.
I am Groot.
But Drax takes the cake.
Drax is hilarious.
He stole the movie, and I loved everything about it. What I liked is that it was more about the characters. It was more about their relationships, and it didn't seem like, yeah, there was a lot at stake, obviously, but it was at stake because of their family, and they had to lean back on their family in order to make it happen. And I really enjoyed the movie. I wish I had been able to see it more than once, but the music wasn't as Jackson 5-y as the first one,
right?
But I don't know. I really enjoyed the movie.
Yeah, I thought
overall.
Chris Pratt was hilarious. He was great.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually a little underwhelmed by Mantis, but I loved how Mantis made everyone else react, especially Drax.
Yeah, and I think Mantis in the next one's going to be
a bigger role.
A bigger role. I like the Nebula and Gamora relationship. I like that Nebula, and I'll get to the other part in a minute. I like that relationship, but the big part for me as a parent was the relationship between obviously Peter Quill and
Yondu. Yeah,
and I don't want to spoil anything on this episode.
No spoilers, but can we talk about? I mean, just briefly mention how brilliant Michael Rooker's performance was.
He was so good, man. And there was this line towards the end.
I'm Mary Poppins, y'all.
Yeah, the Mary Poppins line was great. But my favorite line, though, was the, I'm not your father or something like that.
But I'm your daddy.
But I'm your daddy. And it's just like, what?
It's great. And, honestly, out of all the superhero films that have come out in the last 10 years, this is the first one where I can honestly see a minor character getting a Best Supporting Actor nom.
Yeah.
Because Michael Rooker was that good.
He was so good, man. And it's like, in the movie, this is the spoilers I'm going to get. The movie was more about him than anybody else.
Oh, absolutely.
But because they're telling that story, you got Peter Quill's story, you got the Ravager's story, and you got all this stuff wrapped up in it.
I actually liked Stallone.
Yeah, and Stallone was good, man. And Stallone's character made sense.
Yes.
And all of that just made sense. And I really enjoyed it in that it wasn't like, oh my God, we got to save the universe. Yeah, they still ended up having to save the universe, but that wasn't at the forefront. The forefront was, let's figure this out. My dad is this, but you've been here this whole time, right?
Exactly.
And Eagle the Living Planet stuff was great.
Okay, you know what? Technically, this is the one thing I want to mention. That we've had a rash of seeing younger versions of actors in movies, like Robert Downey Jr. in Captain America: Civil War. We saw a younger version of
they killed it with Homeboy's character.
Michael Douglas in Ant-Man.
Right.
But this is amazing because those are CGI. The Kurt Russell was all makeup.
Oh, they did,
and it was so good.
They did an amazing job with that, and I loved like the little. He's like telling a story, and the eggs are changing.
I know,
and
those are great.
And in the back of my mind, the whole time I was like, "This is bull crap. He's full of crap.
Yeah.
All of this is crap." But it's like, oh, he's telling it in a nice way.
Storyline.
Yeah, it's a nice story. And then he's got the visuals, and I don't know. I enjoyed that. What else? Rocket was interesting. I don't know if I liked him as much this time around.
No, because what I love is that Groot was the one that kind of like kept Rocket in check in the first one,
right?
And this time it's Rocket keeping Groot in check.
Yeah, and it was like, I don't know if I like Rocket as a parent figure, but again, you have these dynamics going on all across the board on this one.
Imagine how much we'll be able to charge when we're 2-time Guardians or Galaxy Savers.
And then there was the Sovereign thing. The Sovereign thing was interesting. I would have liked to know more about them, I think.
I think they very much were like, we didn't get a ton of information about Nova in the first one.
That's true. But Nova Corps worked because it was like a military operation. Like, you get what that looks like. Like, with the Sovereign, it's like, I don't know.
It was an aristocracy.
But they come across as that. But then it's like, let's all go after these people and kill them because they disgraced us. Like, it was just, I don't know. It was okay. I don't know. I overall really enjoyed the movie. I really want to see it again. I wish there were some musical cues that I can think of, like the first one a little bit. There were a couple in there. And I'm being critical because I love both these movies, and they're both perfect movies to watch back to back. Like, I don't know. I still love the first one, and I love the first one mostly because you see the family coming together.
Right.
And this movie was more about keeping the family together and figuring out your family issues, which was a good premise for the film.
Absolutely. I'm really looking forward to seeing how first of all, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which is already in the works.
Right.
But seeing how they interweave with Infinity War.
Indeed. Yeah. So,
all right, let's move on to the rest of Marvel.
Yeah, I'm only lingering there because I did tweet out that we were going to talk about the movie, and people might want to know what we think. But
it was good.
It was good. I liked it. There was one other thing I was going to say about it. Whatever, I'll think of it in a minute. All right, Defenders. Let's talk about Defenders, dude. There's an article in here about Finn Jones talking about how he's going to be a little more mature when it comes down.
Right. Well, you think you would kind of have to.
Well, and I think after, and the article kind of talks about towards the end of Defenders, he takes a more mature look at like what it means to be a superhero, right? Because he's not by himself, which is important. Madame Gao is confirmed for the Defenders, which I think is awesome. I love that character. I love that actress. She's phenomenal. And Sigourney Weaver calls her character a Renaissance woman. And we don't really know what she's playing yet, but from what I get from this, she had a lot of fun picking out the outfits and designing the character. So I think it's going to be a trip.
I really hope she fights.
Oh, I hope so too.
Because seeing her, because you haven't really seen her fight since Aliens.
Yeah, not for a long time.
And I'm like, awesome.
It'd be cool to see her square off against one of these guys.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, for sure.
Especially, can you imagine her and Scott Glenn going head to head?
Oh, that'd be sick. Let's see. So Scott Glenn describes the Defenders as a war, which makes sense.
It's what it was setting it up for.
Yeah. And I'm glad that's happening. I really love all four of those characters, and I'm looking forward to Defenders.
I really hope they do is one way that they could tie in all of the previous shows is that Sigourney Weaver's character was not necessarily the puppet master, but she had a part in Kingpin taking control and Purple
that
Man
would be cool. That'd be sick.
All these people having, like, she was kind of behind, not necessarily organizing it all, but she played a part in helping them fulfill their goals.
I like the way you think there, buddy. Speaking of Luke Cage Season 2, a spin-off of, continuing off what we were just talking about, it's going to explore superhero problems. And what that means is I read this thing. It says, essentially, everybody knows who he is, and he's got to deal with what that looks like.
Right.
You know? And Thor Ragnarok.
I actually think we could probably skip these last.
No, I'm going to skip all three of them. But Ragnarok, Black Panther, and Infinity War all have synopses released. So, if you're into that kind of thing, check it out. We got links in there for that. And let's get to
merch.
So Funko, I don't know what happened to the link for this other one, but there's two Funko ones. Funko debuts a Walking Dead Dorbs exclusive, which seems oxymoronic a little bit, but and this is going to be at where are they doing this exclusive? I forgot to look at this. No, I don't know. But anyway, so we've got Walking Dead Dorbs and James Gunn, the director of Guardians of the Galaxy, is getting his own Funko Pop, which is freaking badass. Last thing here, of course, as we always do, is convention news. Now, dude, there's some backlash happening in conventions right now, especially San Diego Comic-Con. There's a lot of things saying, hey, I'm not coming back, including Nerd HQ, And this top article, Chris Hardwick saying there's no Nerdist podcast live happening or stand-up show at San Diego Comic-Con 2017.
Okay, and actually, I've had a theory on this. Okay. First of all, because I reached out to my friend Claudia, who works at Legendary. She used to work for Geek and Sundry.
Are they coming back?
She never responded. She read it, but she never responded. So I'm guessing it's still up in the air.
Okay.
Okay, and my theory about it is this: that Comic-Con International is only signed up with San Diego through this year or 2018, right? I'm guessing that for things like Hardwick at Balboa Theater, you have to sign multi-year.
Right.
And they were saying, okay, well, you've got to sign 2 years or 3 years, whatever, and they only have, why sign a 3-year thing if Comic-Con isn't going to be there in 2019?
Right.
And I think that might be the same reason that, especially something big like Nerd HQ, they needed like a multi-year thing, and so I'm guessing that might be the problem.
That's a really interesting theory, actually. Yeah, I don't know what's going on, man. It seems like some of the biggest offsites are not happening this year.
Right.
Which doesn't mean there's so many things happening offsite still. But we're not going to have those sanctuaries like Nerd HQ and maybe Carnival.
Right.
But we'll see.
Exactly.
I put a link in here because I thought this was kind of cool. It's called the OCD Survival Guide to Comic-Con, and this was one of
I'm all going to be reading that.
And this was one of the writers, actually, for Crazy for Comic-Con, Tony Kim's site,
right.
which I liked because it's not just for people with OCD, which it does help for people with OCD, but it helps with general cleanliness. Because by the gods, man, it's gross.
There's at least 250,000 people in this town, and
it's gross. So read that article. I thought it was kind of cool. Good tips.
Coming from a definite introvert and like having so many people around me is oppressive.
Yeah.
It's very important to find your spots, and we have a couple of spots we always go to, and they're usually they're right in the middle of things, but
off the beaten path.
Off the beaten path, and we can usually hide for a good half hour, 40 minutes, charge our phones and everything, and it's not as chaotic.
And what is this? Our 6th year?
Your 6th year, my 5th year.
And so this is my 6th year going. The spot that we're talking about, that we're both thinking about, is perfect, and nobody knows about it.
It's dead center.
Yeah, and it's right in the thick of things, but there's bathrooms, charging, everything you need with none of the chaos.
Yeah, and the thing is,
it's like the best thing
to get
ever.
out of it, there's 4 exits that go to 4 different areas, so you can just go to where you want.
Yeah, it's great. So so hang with us. We'll show you the ways.
Yep.
Let's see. So that
also,
aside,
I just got to go to the Fox Sports Grill bar. And
we'll be there.
Sit there for a few hours.
We'll be there no matter what. Nintendo levels up for San Diego Comic-Con. So Nintendo's coming back with their lounge event, and that they do that every day, and that is at the Marriott next to the Convention Center.
Yep.
Mezco, San Diego Comic-Con exclusives. The only reason I put this in here was because they had this badass He-Man deal going. It's so freaking cool, dude. Look at that. Look how badass that is.
Oh, dude, he's got the bowl cut.
Glowing eyes, the haircut. Oh, it's so sick. Oh, wait, so I just threw that in there because that's just amazing. Razor's coming back this year, and that's in Petco parking lot. Jesse and I went to that last year.
Right.
We had a couple pictures out in front of there. So that is super cool. They always do giveaways, and they show off their latest gear. As many Razor products as I own. I mean, that's just definitely something cool to check out.
Exactly.
And the last thing, and ending on a little bit of a heavier note, Phoenix Comic-Con gunman allegedly wanted to kill police and Green Power Ranger actor. Now, the only reason I'm bringing this up is because this happened at Phoenix Comic-Con, right?
Which I was at the year before last.
Which you have been to, which is one of the reasons I'm bringing it up. There was a man arrested. Nobody was hurt, thankfully. But in light of the Manchester stuff, in light of all these things that are going on in our world right now, one of my biggest things that I talk about with my friends that I worry about is all the crowds at San Diego Comic-Con. What a nice target that would be.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
A lot of soft targets.
And so I worry about this stuff all the time. And so what happened at Phoenix Comic-Con is, as you know, at San Diego Comic-Con, if you come in with a fake gun or whatever, you have to go through the check thing.
And actually, it's funny you brought this up because as a former attendee for presses at Phoenix Comic-Con, I was getting tons of emails this week from Phoenix Comic-Con talking about how their fake weapon
Yeah.
guidelines had completely changed in light of Manchester.
Oh, they changed it. They basically said
They banned a lot of stuff.
Yeah, they banned most things, which I'm worried about a little bit for San Diego, and I'm also worried. I always worry too anytime I go anywhere, and I'm in a crowded place in Disneyland or wherever it might be. I mean, these things are real, man, and so if you're suspicious of these things or whatever, like, just don't be the person that doesn't say anything.
Honestly, if when in doubt, follow the rules of New York City. If you
Yeah.
see something, say something.
Just report it, yeah. So I worry about this stuff all the time, and I didn't want to end the show this way,
No,
but
I'll kind of lighten it up here for a
Yeah.
second. There was a Comic-Con in the UK this week, and a fight broke out between Sam Jones, who played Flash Gordon, and oh gosh, I'm sorry, who was it? Give me a second here.
all right. Anyway, like I said, the reason that I brought it up was mostly just because I just worry about these things, and I want geek stuff to be sacred, and I don't want things to, happen to people who are just trying to celebrate their fandoms. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Give me a second.
No, your second's up. I'm gonna close the show
I
out.
can hate you.
I'm gonna close the show. I'm gonna do it. I'm doing it. Anyway, thanks to everybody who's hanging out. We're gonna end up here in a second. Yeah, thank you, everybody. Seriously, you gotta.
I'm almost there, chill.
Nope.
It's just comicbook.com is slow.
Agreed. Anyway, so while Will is doing that, I'm going to talk about a couple of ways you could support our show. We have
Oh, that's what it was.
Oh my god.
Sorry. No, there was a fight between Sam Jones, who played Flash Gordon, and Lou Ferrigno, who played the Incredible
Oh
Hulk.
my god, are you serious?
And-
Lou Ferrigno?
Yeah, and a fan broke
He's
it
a
up.
monster.
Well,
They're-
so is Sam
Yeah,
Jones.
they're both big. Yeah.
And a fan broke up the fight.
Oh,
I
that's
just thought funny.
So fights, and this is why I ended it this way, is because very rarely do you see fights at conventions. Very rarely
Right.
do you see any kind of anything besides like,
There's
hey,
usually very little
I'm
drama.
upset with you because you're saying this thing about my fandom. There's
Right.
very rarely anything violent that happens at these things. And
That cosplay is not accurate.
I know, it's like, I would rather argue about accuracy of cosplay than have anything else
Yeah, and
violent
actually,
happen.
it never hurts to say this again. One of the biggest things is cosplay does not give consent.
Oh, of course. All right, so on the slightly light to heavy note, we're going to end the show.
Let's end the show.
If you have comments or questions, sorry. Thank you for tuning in to The Usual Podcast. If you have comments or questions, you can find us at theusualpodcast.com. Email us at theusualpodcast@gmail.com. And we're on Facebook, Pinterest, Google+, Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube. I am at Darth Pops on Twitter. Will is at Mo Griggs. We're on, all the things. Give us
All the
ratings,
things.
and we like the things.
We like the starters.
If you want to support us, patreon.com/usualpodcast is the best place to do it. Thank you to Skeen and everybody else who does it, Zen and Jesse, and all these people who support our
Red
show.
and Steve.
And what's great about it is those of you that have upped your contributions in the last month to help us get to Comic-Con, you have no idea how helpful that was. We have booked
we just got our plane tickets.
we
because
booked
of
our
that.
plane tickets because of that. So we are locked in as far as everything we need to spend money on. So now it's just
food, spending money, and Lyft and Uber stuff.
Exactly. So thank you to all of you who do that. So what we're going to do going into episode 100 and everything else, patreon.com/usualpodcast. Give us $1 or $2 an episode. We're going to do I'm revamping kind of all of that stuff. But you do get our blooper reels and you get our trailer time and everything else. So I'm working on some really cool stuff. And anybody coming to Pucked, our Pucked Cantina, I will be bringing you socks, and you don't know it yet. But it's going to be great. So
And honestly, I think a good idea. We need to make a T-shirt for Pucked.
Yeah, we do.
And I would like any suggestions you have. You can send them to at Darth Pops or at I am Will Griggs. And
Yes.
something in the vein of "You've just been pucked" or something like that.
Yes, we could do a little contest maybe.
A little contest.
Impromptu contest. If you have any ideas for a Pucked Cantina T-shirt, send them in to us. We would love that. And audibletrial.com/usualpodcast. You can get a free audiobook on us. We would love that. And we get $15. You get a free audiobook, Thrawn, anything.
Yep.
Game of Thrones, whatever.
Brandon
And
Sanderson.
yeah, and we're done. I'm
We're
out.
done. We're out.
So what are we gonna do?
I don't know. Just make sure you have a fun.
Yeah, have a fun, and we'll see y'all next week.
Peace. Thank you, everybody. Had a good time.
Yeah, thanks to chat room. We have to go. I have to do stuff.
Real life.
This is an
I've got to go change my laundry.
Awkward time to record a podcast. But anyway, thanks, Skeen, for hanging with us the whole time. You're the man, dude. We'll get you on. I'm thinking 101 or 102, I think, is what we're planning on doing. We're going to have a couple other guests, I think, during that time. I think we said 101 for JT and Mox. Maybe we'll have Skeen on, too. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But thanks, man. You are an awesome human being. So continue to be that, okay? That's life lessons from me. You're welcome. You're welcome. All right. We must go. Thank you, everybody. Oh, yeah. I don't know if I'm going to make WOG. I don't know. I got to figure out what's happening. Is that happening? I didn't hear back from JT. Or maybe I did, and I missed it. Oh, they did some of the bosses already, though. Still lockout. I don't know if I'm going to make it. Are you going to be there, RJ? Oh, they're just looking for one healer? Okay. Well, I'm not a healer, so I will bow out tonight. Tell those guys best of luck. All right. I got to go. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you.